Marx comes across as a young man as this sort of energetic, fiery, hairy figure. He was known as the wild boar, or the Moor, which sort of points to his sort of Levantine complex. He was full of ideas, he was full of debate, he liked big drinking sessions and then deep philosophical debate about the nature of Christ and German Romanticism and politics.
Karl Marx was born in Prussia on May 5, 1818. His father, Herschel Marx, was a major influence in his development into becoming a philosopher. Marx's private schooling consisted of employed teachers that were liberal humanists. He joined the Young Hegelians, a movement that critiqued society's political and cultural tendencies. They also voiced opinions against the Prussian autocracy. Marx went on to become a journalist, publishing extreme writings that would get him expelled from Germany and France. The worker becomes all the poorer the more wealth he produces, the more his production increases in power and range. The worker becomes an ever cheaper commodity the more commodities he creates. With the increasing value of the world of things proceeds in direct proportion to the devaluation of the world of men. Labor produces not only commodities, it produces itself and the worker as a commodity, and does so in the proportion in which it produces commodities generally. During the time of his existence, the Industrial Revolution was already well underway. This time period gave rise to capitalism. In the capitalist system, the worker's final product is not his own. He works for someone else. The working class, known as the proletariat, uses labor to make products that are then in turn given to the bourgeoisie, the wealthy class. The working class suffered long hours and horrendous conditions while the wealthy lived in luxury. Capitalists exploited their workers by pocketing the profit made by the worker. Capitalists then invest their profit, tending to modernize their factories. With the increase of machine function work, less workers are needed, ultimately leading to higher rates of unemployment. This infuriated Marx, who published the Communist Manifesto in 1848 with Frederick Engels.
To resolve the class struggles, Marx proposed the dictatorship of the proletariat, in which the proletarians dominate over the bourgeoisie. Soon after the transition, society will become classless and everything that is produced will be owned by the people themselves. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need. In this way, society's labor force will be producing for themselves and capitalism will be eliminated. Religion is the sign of the oppressed creature, the sentiment of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people. Marxist epistemology puts science and reason above religion and faith. Faith and religion in Marxist perspective was not perceivable, therefore not factual. Marx believed that perception creates true knowledge, so if a human was able to see materials, he or she would be able to come to the belief that whatever they perceive would be correct knowledge. This makes Marx a materialist. Materialists are individuals who believe that the only things that exist are objects and materials made up of matter and energy. True knowledge must be investigated and proven, claimed Marx. This being said, he believed that since faith and religion cannot be proven through one's senses, it must not be trustable.
The communists disdain to conceal their views and aims. They openly declare that their ends can be attained only by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions.
Under communist morality, the standard is whatever advances the cause of the communist is good and whatever hinders it is evil. So by definition, the bourgeois hindered the cause of communism, so it was evil, and so we eradicated it.
In the view of Karl Marx, the universe is constantly changing. For example, Marx believed that the change from capitalism to socialism was necessary in order for the world to be able to go on without self-destructing. In order to achieve the goal of peace, the proletariats must revolt against the bourgeoisie and succeed in their revolt. When this happens, the world will accomplish a state of new morality. Another example would be that history will always change our view of the world after our goal has been achieved. Ideas formerly thought as advantageous will soon be seen as destructive.
The philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it. In the point of view of Karl Marx, reality was only what was perceivable in the universe. He denied supernatural beings and everything unable to be seen as reality. Marx believed that the universe is the only thing that exists and will ever exist.
Everything ugly and monstrous despises art. Marx theorizes the idea of beauty by applying Marxism to the global culture around the world. A region or area that is heavily inspired and revolves around aspects like art and literature executes the act of Marxism within the subject. Beauty, in a sense, is correlated to the social status of humanity, ranging from social hierarchy to wealth, thus heavily impacting the person's life. Within Marxism, the artistic practices are not to exhibit just the human, but it also stretches their everyday life with areas to improve on.
After Marx's death, his philosophy has influenced the world in a communist light. After World War I, Russia became the first nation to adopt the Marxist government with a few Leninist touches. Following the success of the Russian Revolution, a new communist regime began. Only until after World War II, the two superpowers of the world, the Soviet Union and the United States, began to differentiate in terms of economic ideals. It was fundamentally the basis for the Cold War. Although Marx's ideas were initially pure, Leninism altered it to tailor to its needs. With the Soviet Union's conversion to communism, it began to influence countries in Asia, Eastern Europe, and Africa in many different ways. One of the most significant influences Leninism had was in China. It essentially ended the 3,000 years of the Chinese dynasty and forever changed Chinese history. The People's Republic of China continues to call its government communist. Although most countries have switched to democracies, Marx's influence continues to live on through